Today, I'm going to talk about everything involving formic acid. By the end of this video, my goal for you is to be able to take away all of the pros, the cons, what are some things that beekeepers usually notice when using Formic Pro or formic acid and what makes them a little concerned. And I'm going to show you how to use it so that you can use it in your colony if you choose to. They are not happy. So, that being said, we should probably sit down. What I'm noticing is they are actually acting normal.
So here's how I apply it. Doesn't matter which side you do, just make sure you do it in the front, and you do it in the back, lay it across like I did here.
This hive is,
whoa, why don't you use it?
You're probably they're not happy. So it is July here in Michigan, and yes, I am aware that it is pouring down rain right now and that bees usually don't like to be opened up when it's pouring down rain, but the next 3 days are going to be perfect for temperature, so I got to do it now. And the reason that I am treating these hives in July is I am starting to notice that I have a little bit of PMS, parasitic mite syndrome, in some of my newer colonies. I was not expecting to see this considering I had split all of my hives, so I had a simulated brood break, but I'm starting to see it, so I'm treating everything with Formic so that I can get rid of the mites. I did test my mite count and it's a little higher than what I would like. So we are here today treating with Formic. So formic acid is usually the first miticide that I recommend to any new beekeepers, mainly just because it's so easy to use as long as you follow the directions. And also you don't need to buy any expensive equipment for it. So that makes it even easier and a little bit more cost effective. The other reason why I usually recommend Formic is it is the best for emergency situations like I'm in right now. So when you have your honey supers on a hive and you find out that your mite load is a little bit too high, you have to really pick and choose what you decide to use as a miticide, because a lot of them leave residues in the honey or the wax, and that can be a little problematic. But the cool thing about Formic is it doesn't leave any residues in your honey or your wax. That is the coolest thing about it that I love so much. And just something to think about as well. So all of those miticides that do leave a residue in the wax, things like check mite, we have been starting to, or the scientists have been starting to realize that the mites are becoming resistant to things like that. And the reason for this is when you're using a miticide that leaves a residue in the wax, like check mite, it can leave a residue for up to 5 months. That's a really long time. So any mites that come in after you treat your hive, they're going to come in contact with those residues, but those residues aren't strong enough to kill the mites. So as a byproduct, those mites become resistant because they become used to that chemical. So again, not really a good idea to use things that leave residues in terms of building resistance in our mites, which is something that we definitely do not want to do. So just something to think about. So one of the cons about formic acid is it is a little bit harsher on the bees. That is why there are temperatures that you have to be in range on the package. Otherwise, you could risk possibly burning your brood, which, yeah, that's not good. But just notice how I chose to put the Velcro down here. This will all make sense later. One of the pros about using formic acid is it is strong enough to be able to penetrate the wax cappings, so it's able to kill mites in the brood, whereas a lot of other treatments aren't able to do that. They only kill the mites that are on the bee. So when you use Formic, you're killing every single mite in that colony, and it's been very effective and is shown to do so. So that is another reason why it is my favorite thing to use. So on the package, if you see when you get your package, here, let me show you.
So this is what your package will look like. It has directions, ways to use it, every little bit of information you could possibly imagine that you need to know is on this package. That's what it looks like. But over here, it has a little recommendation that it gives you 2 options of how you can treat. You can either treat with 2 strips for 14 days, which is the way I like to treat, or you can treat with 1 strip for 10 days, remove, and replace with 2nd strip for an additional 10 days.
Now, I've been doing a lot of research lately because I love bees. I want to learn more. You got to always continue being a student, otherwise you stop growing. But yeah, so I've been doing some research lately, and there's been a new article that's came out talking about that 2nd option for Formic. And what it said is that using only 1 strip is not as effective as they thought it would be. That really it's only like a quarter treatment. It's not able to penetrate the wax cappings and get under into the brood as the 2 strip treatment would. So just keep that in mind if you do ever choose that option to treat with only 1 strip, that think of it as only a quarter treatment. So take that with what you will. Also, I just want to say, if you have a very small hive, it is okay to use 1 strip. When I'm talking about using 2 strips, I'm talking about a well-established hive that is of decent size, not a small little nuke. So yeah, just want to clarify. Okay, so as I kind of talked about earlier, there are temperature ranges for using Formic. The temperature range, it depends on which brand you get. I think the mite quick strips are like 50 to 90 degrees. And what I got is the Formic Pro is 50 to 85 degrees. But you absolutely want to make sure the temp is not going to be anywhere near 90 degrees in those first 3 days. So the way the strip works is it releases the majority of the acid within it in those first 3 days. So if the temps are going to go up a little bit after those 3 days, you don't have to be too concerned about it, as long as it's not something like 100 degrees or like 95 degrees or something like that. Because I know it's usually pretty hard to find days that are under 85 degrees in the middle of summer. But those first 3 days are absolutely critical. The side effect of if it's too hot and you are not within those ranges are you could possibly burn your brood and you could kill your queen. So yeah, you don't want to be in that situation. So the number one thing that I do want to stress when using Formic is you need to make sure that you ventilate well. Do not have any entrance reducers on your hive, and if you do have an upper entrance, please make use of it because it does help. But if you don't, then just pop your upper cover a little bit, so that way it allows them to be able to circulate all of that air out as they need to. That way it doesn't burn your brood. Now I did want to be able to test for mites, but the container that I use for checking mites is not in my car for some reason. Well, it's gonna treat anyways. Okay, so I gotta move kind of quickly here because this hive is freaking kicking butt, but they're not happy that I opened them up. So, how you apply these? I was going to talk about how you need to use latex gloves, but because they're so aggressive right now and I really don't want to get all my fingers stung and eaten up, I'm not going to use them. But if your bees are calm, use latex gloves. It makes so the chemicals don't get through to your hands or anything. But it's going to be in a package like this. You're going to cut it open. You're going to take one out. Super simple. You can pretty much figure that out yourself. Here's what they look like. It has a little cut line. You're going to take it. You're going to open it. Do not smell it because it is very strong and it is not good for you to inhale. And then you're going to apply it. But first, don't put it straight on your bees. So use your smoker. They will kind of move for you too as you put it down, but I don't know if you can hear that, but yeah, they got pretty noisy when I did that.
So here's how I apply it. Doesn't matter which side you do, just make sure you do one in the front and you do one in the back and lay it across like I did here. Here's the front of my hive to help give you a little bit of context.
And this is when a bee snuck through that little Velcro strap that I didn't put down correctly and stung my neck. Now, don't be alarmed if you do see your bees start to beard up on the outside of your hive after you put the strips on. Remember, you're applying an acid, so it's gonna feel pretty hot in there for them, and that smell is gonna be really strong. So it's pretty common that the bees will beard up on the outside of the hive. So don't be too scared. Keep an eye on it. There are some beekeepers that have said that they've had issues with absconding with Formic Pro. I personally never had a problem with that, but like I said, just keep an eye on them and they should be a-okay.
And we got a little bit of bearding going on, but nothing too crazy.
So I hope that was super informative for you guys, and you could probably see, yeah, I got stung in the neck. It's like all purple and swollen now. But that's the price you pay when you open your bees on a rainy day, especially a strong hive. So yeah, know what you're getting into. But I hope you gained a lot of knowledge from today's video, and I hope I helped you out with treating your bees so that you can make a good decision on what you want to use, how you want to treat them. Just make sure that you treat your bees. Do not skip it, because the mites, they will come. They are a nasty little sucker, and I honestly wish they would die. But with that, I will see you guys in the next one.